Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Quenisha, and I am your host, coach, teacher, and fellow baddie. I'm back today with an off camera episode because I just literally cannot. So, we're doing good old fashioned audio because who doesn't love an audio podcast? Now, today we are going to be talking kind of about a part two video that I did in 2024. And this part one that I'm talking about is why playing it small is actually hurting you. And playing it small is hurting you because you are self sabotaging yourself. You're always shrinking, you're just staying in that comfort zone. And doing that keeps you stuck. In this episode, we talked about how to identify your limiting beliefs, how to recognize your value, and how to stop taking giant leaps rather than intentional tiny steps. Now, if you haven't watched that yet, I think you should go back and watch it because today is building on that foundation. In part one, I address mindset. Part two, to tell you what will come after that. Because wanting to think big is not enough. And I was inspired to create this episode because we're always telling people to think big, but what happens when you do think big? Once you have the audacity to actually have a huge dream, a huge goal, now what? You can do all the mindset work. You can have the journal, say your affirmations, and still stay exactly where you are. Because thinking big without the right supports, it's like a house standing on four little wooden legs. Like you build this beautiful house on four little wooden legs, that house is going to collapse. We tell women to dream big, think big, go after it. We tell them have this huge vision, but then how are you going to get there? How are you going to get there? So today we're going to talk about three things that you need to have in place to actually support your big thinking, the infrastructure. If you are new to this podcast, welcome. If you like what you hear so far, be sure to subscribe, give it a like, depending on where you are listening, and let's jump into it. Point number one is you need to chunk the dream. Big goals aren't the problem, okay? The goal itself is not the problem because we as a society celebrate big goals. We tell you to make your vision board, that January energy, right? But then no one tells you what to do after you set that goal. So then you set this massive goal, you look at it, it feels impossible, and then you do nothing. You stay stagnant. And this is when people start to tell themselves, oh, I'm not disciplined enough, or I'm just not motivated, or I'm not ready. And no, that's not it. The goal itself is just too abstract for you to act on. So when you say your goal is, I want to start a business, that is not a plan, right? That's your vision, like that's your overarching big goal. But a real goal is, I want to launch my offer in the next 12 weeks, right? That is a plan. So now you've taken this, I want to start a business, and you've chunked it into different pieces. The first part of the plan is to launch an offer. Launching an offer includes you doing some market research, creating the offer, advertising the offer, right? Now we're getting into real deal things. So, chunking your goal means creating a timeline and milestones because that is how you are going to get to the next point. So, stop thinking in years and start thinking in sprints. What do I need to do within this? And I'm going to say 12 weeks because I use the 12-week year planning system. And I love 12 weeks because it's enough time for you to make enough real meaningful progress on a goal, but it's also short enough to keep it urgent, top of mind, and focus. So break down your big dream into milestones, then turn those milestones into weekly actions. Now your goal is taking shape. Now you know, okay, on Tuesday, this is what I'm going to do. Okay. So thinking small is also the same thing as thinking too big all at once. Chunking your dream makes it executable, it makes it approachable for you. And that's exactly what we do inside the Better Baddie Experience as well. So if you don't know, I'm hosting the Better Baddie Experience on May 30th. And you come in with the goals that have been living in your head and your notes app, and you leave with an actual 12-week plan built around your life, not an ideal version of it. That's a huge thing. We'll talk more about that at the end. Now, The second thing that you need to do, and I think this is the game changer, because even after you do the mindset work and build the plan, you could still be stuck. You need structured accountability, not cheerleaders. And I know that word gets misused a lot. So let me be clear about what I mean. Accountability is not someone standing over your shoulder making sure you did the thing. That is supervision, and it does not work long term because you have to want it. Real accountability is knowing that someone knows what you're working towards and they check in on the process, the interim, not just the outcome. So, structured accountability isn't how did week 12 go? No, it's every single week. How are you doing? What happened? What do you need? What do you not need to do anymore? What did you learn? How can we restructure? Do you need to rewrite your goal? Is your goal aligned with you? Does it feel purposeful? Does it feel meaningful? Does it feel like it'll leave an impact on you? Real accountability is being able to say your goals out loud to other women who are also doing work. Because sometimes being in the room with other people who are pursuing their goals, their momentum can pull you out of a slump. And I can tell you this from my own experience. You could have had the worst week ever, but hearing how someone else pushed through their week or about a win that they had, that could be enough to keep you going. And in a real structured accountability group, you receive reframes rather than telling you what you want to hear. And let me tell you, your friends love you, but sometimes they're just too close to you to give you the actual perspective you need. Sometimes they just don't have that insight because they're not on the same journey. So rather than giving you a reframe when you hit a stuck point, they may just say, yeah, girl, like, I don't know, like maybe you should just try again next week. And they'll have the best intentions in the world. We've been sold this very, very specific story about ambition that if you really want it, you'll figure it out, grind, push through, you know? And I bought that story and I built that way for a long time. I've explained this in previous episodes. But when my goals got bigger, doing everything alone started to feel like it was slowing me down. Right? So I had to accept the idea that needing support does not make me weak, right? This makes me stronger. Every single high performing woman that you admire, she has a coach, a mentor, an accountability group, some sort of mastermind group. And it's not because that this particular woman isn't capable, it's because she's smart enough to know that community accelerates everything. So if you're thinking, no, Quenisha, like my friends got me, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Do they know exactly the goal that you're working on right now? Not vaguely, but specifically. They know that you are trying to do XYZ in the next 12 weeks and why that's important to you. Do they know those weekly actions? I mean, you should know your plan in and out, but have you talked about these items specifically with someone? Now, if you can name someone that knows the goal and knows the plan, will they also know if you fall off? Because that right there will keep you on track. Now, if the answer is nobody, that is just a gap and it's one that you can fill. Your environment has to match your ambition. If everyone around you is comfortable, then comfort starts to feel like the standard. You need to be in a room with women who are operating at your next level. This is not to make you feel like you're behind. The purpose is to expand what feels possible. When you surround yourself with ambitious women, that normalizes ambition and it makes you stop feeling like you're asking for too much. When you isolate yourself, that is one of the quietest ways that big thinking dies. So you need a supportive accountability group. Community is not a reward for after you figure things out. After you get your business up and running, you're like, oh my God, hey guys, can I join your group? No, it is a strategy to help you get to that end goal, reach that big goal. And the last point that I'll make is investing in yourself. Investing in yourself is a decision that you make. It's not a luxury. Okay. I see women all the time who are serious about their goals. Women who, again, have the mindset work. They know what they want and they'll spend money on everything else except themselves. They'll spend money, time, and energy on everything else except themselves. Nails, dinners, subscriptions they forgot they had, things that expire, group dinners, time watching Netflix, time scrolling, right? You put your time, money, and energy into other things, but a workshop, a coach, a structured group, suddenly it's I can't afford it. And I need you to hear me on this because it's not that it's a budget problem. A lot of the time, it's a worthiness problem, and people are wearing budget as a disguise. If you're not investing in yourself underneath it, underneath the budget conversation, it's because you are not fully sure if the return is worth it. And you're not sure if you will follow through. You're not sure if you're worth the work. You're not sure if you deserve it. And I can say that because I lived on the other side of it. If you listen to part one, I talked about how I was afraid to charge for my workshops. So I kept doing everything for free because I never felt like people would pay. That was me playing small with my potential, my pricing. And a lot of you are doing the same exact thing with your money, your time, and your energy. Every single high performing woman that you admire has invested in her growth. And it's not just about the money, it's about taking the time out to make sacrifices. You can't do everything that you want to do when you're trying to do what you want to do. So when I say pay, I want you to think about all of those aspects because what is staying stuck actually costing you? Delayed growth has a price too. It doesn't necessarily show up on your bank statement. It shows up in the opportunities that you didn't take. It shows up with the goals that stayed in your no app, the version of yourself that kept putting it off. Investing in yourself always does not mean thousands of dollars. It means consistently putting resources, time, money, and energy towards your growth. And you need to treat that as a non negotiable, not as something you do after everything is taken care of. You have to show up for yourself the way you know you're going to show up for yourself at the end to get things to start happening for you. Okay, so let's bring it home. Big thinking without support is just pressure, and pressure without that structure makes people quit. You are not going to quit. So, the first thing that you need to do to support your big dreams, chunk the dream. Okay. Stop holding your goals at full size and actually break them down into a 12-week plan with milestones that you actually can work on. Second, build structured accountability. Get into a room with women who are doing the work, not just giving you support in theory. Third, start investing in yourself like you mean it. Treat your growth as a decision. Now, if you want to do all three in one place, let me tell you all about the Better Baddie Experience. It's a 12-week goal planning workshop on May 30th. It's virtual, 2 hours, and you'll come in with the goals that are in your head and your notes app again, and leave with a real plan that you can follow. We're going to chunk the dream together. You'll be in a room full of women who are doing the work together, and showing up for yourself is the first investment in yourself. The link to register is in the description. And again, it's $20, and I'm telling you, it is worth it. If you want to go deeper after the workshop, then the Baddie Circle is the next step. That is the 12-week structured accountability cohort where we execute your plan together. And we'll talk more about that in the experience. So I will stop there today. Until next time, I hope you have a positively productive, self-loving day. Bye.